first 3 minutes to go to that link, the cometa.co ICU link. And what you'll see is a series of images with questions. So take a look at those images and questions and try to find one that represents a question that you might like to speak to. And if you don't see on the first page of the screen there a question you like that resonates with you, you'll find that there are 2 additional pages where you can find more images and questions as well. So take a few minutes, about 3 minutes, to browse. So we will do this individually at the same time once we get into the breakout groups, right? To find the image and the question. Once you're back together and once you're in the breakout, you'll be able to speak with each other. One person in your group is going to take a turn and then essentially share a response to the question that they picked. And this might be a response that goes about 3 to 5 minutes. You know, so not a lot of time necessarily, but hopefully enough time to share with some depth what you feel. And if the person doesn't necessarily go very far, it only takes a minute, I'd encourage the other 2 people with them perhaps to ask some questions to help them engage and share a little bit more. So this is important. After the person speaks, the other 2 people who are listening will now have a minute to 2 minutes each just to play back what it is they heard. So you heard somebody talk about themselves and a perspective that they have shared. And it's your chance now to say, this is what I heard, and this is how it really connects with me. So you get to put yourself into your response as well. But mainly you want to play back to demonstrate that you're listening and demonstrate what it is that you've heard. Because we sometimes pick up things that are different from what the person means, and we can all learn from that. And then it's finally going to come back to the speaker, who'll just have about a minute to just recap and maybe offer some thanks or maybe offer some reflections on what they heard from the others. Then you'll rotate to the second person in the group, repeat the process of sharing for 3 to 5 minutes, and the other 2 then reflecting back and then recapping, and finally to the last person in the group if you've got 3 people in your group, right? So we've got 30 minutes. We're at about 12:15 right now. So we'll regroup at 12:45. This is Eastern time in America. So basically in a half an hour. So about, if you do the math there, between being able to pick the images and have our conversations, we have roughly about 10 minutes per person, a little bit shorter because we're going to take 3 minutes to find our pictures. So you've got the instructions in the chat. Once again, please make sure you copy those. And over to you, Matt Opoyi, who's going to put us into those breakout groups. I'm wondering if anybody has any questions, feel free to post them into the chat so we can tackle them. But hopefully you understand what we're doing, and I wish you a really good conversation with hopefully people you've never met before.
I think everybody's back, right? Yes, and Paul, nice to see you too. It's been a while. So good to see everybody.
Yeah.
And Kathy, yes, thank you. So welcome back, and we hope that you all had a really great dialogue with your small group. And what we want to do right now is to transition and spend just a couple of minutes to hear from all of you about your experience, so that we can learn from each other, learn from you, and we can continue to make this tool even better and share it with more people to make it even better, bigger impact. But before we jump into our sharing, let's just all pause for just a moment to reflect on the experience that you just had, because this session here, what this 1 hour is all about, is to give us this chance to pause, learn together and from each other, reflect and think about how we can apply what we just learned into our everyday, right? To make, again, all of our lives better. So why don't we just be quiet and take a moment just to think about what was this experience like for you, that you engage in this dialogue using the images and the questions prepared for you. What did you feel? What enabled you to connect with others in your small group? What, if anything, changed in you because of this experience? And any aha moment that you might have come up with about yourself or about anything. So share anything that you or your small group discussed that really resonated with you. And then upon your reflection, feel free to use chat to share your thoughts and insights from this experience with everyone. And I'll try to read them out. And I will put the instructions, this reflection instruction in chat so you can all see it. All right, did it go? Okay, let me make sure. There you go. Can everybody see the chat? So I provided the instructions. Just a few questions. You could feel free to go beyond those questions. It's just for us to really think about what we just experienced. So let me just be quiet for a moment, and feel free to use chat as we continue this session. Okay, I'm seeing some reflection being shared in chat. Thank you, Howard. Thank you for the feedback for this exercise. I'm so glad you were able to meet new people. That's always a plus in these sessions. Charlie, thank you. Charlie said this is a real opportunity to see others through their filters and hopefully rethink my filters. Absolutely. That's great insight and great feedback about the tool. Definitely enabling us to make meaningful connections with others. Kathy, thank you. Even though the world is a challenging place, we had Americans and Africans in our group. Awesome. We have outside of US participants. We all seemed positive leaders, trying to do some good in the world. We all we are seeing positive leaders trying to do some good in the world. Loved hearing everyone's stories, and we were also respectful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, Bob. Yes, these images and questions really allow us to share our stories with each other, right? That's great. And thank you. Yes, and thank you. You get to know other people in a deeper way in a very short amount of time. Absolutely. That's the power, right, of these questions and images, is that it just makes the connection. It put everybody on the same level playing field and just connect and, you know, and appreciate the differences that might be emerging, and also probably appreciate common ground as well. Definitely, Johanna had the same insight, how this is a quick way to connect. Powerful to hear the hunger of individuals to live with greater intention. Thank you, Joel. And if anybody want to jump in and share your voice, we would love to hear a little bit more. Donna, thank you. Donna, I think you're new to our community. Welcome, Donna Lencia. Ability to speak and be heard through other filters. Yes, absolutely. Sheldon, I experienced how sweet it would be to do this in person instead of Zoom. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. In the meantime, we're going to stick with Zoom, but yes, absolutely. You might do this with your family members. You know, sometimes we forget that, you know, the people who are dearest to us, we need to continue to get to know them, right? So we need not to forget to apply what we just learned with people in our lives that are close to us. Just skipping through a little bit, feel free to browse through the chat. Yes, oh, Rob, thank you for sharing that. Listening to someone else's story always allows judgment to dissolve. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm gonna really remember that. This really resonates. Lynette also shared about true connection and respect. This is how you feel. It really enables wonderful framing and visual guides. A feeling of hope is what changed in you. Wow. Lynette, want to jump in and share anything specific around that? What you felt change in relation to that feeling of hope?
Yeah.
Want to say a few more words?
Well, I mean, I think this organization naturally brings in a lot of positivity is what I've noticed. And so taking the moment to really, really listen to each other and hear not just the intent, but how people are, you know, what I heard was how people want to show up and how they behave. And it was just, yes, you know, it was really hopeful to hear so much positivity and just focus on the potential of transformation.
Right, right. And again, in such a short time, we're able to actually achieve that, right? I see a lot of comments here too. Like Eileen mentioned how you feel, how close you actually develop this sense of closeness and relationship with the small group, even in just a short time. So don't feel like you have to stop, right? I know we ended your breakout group in like 30 minutes, but feel free to reach out and continue these dialogues. The tool is on the website, thanks to Lyndon and, cometa.co and ICU, and keep that link handy and use that to continue the dialogue with anyone. So feel free to take a look. Yes, who else want to jump in?
Chloe, sorry, I was going to jump in. I'm seeing Kara raise her hand, so I was just going to encourage her.
Ah, yes, please. Just help me with I don't see everybody here. Go ahead, Kara.
Yeah, similar. I was in Lynette's group and with a few others, and I was so inspired by, and just like I mentioned in my comment, revived around the positive things that are going on. We have a lens, the world right now has a lens on negativity, and we can choose to find good. There's still a lot out there, and use that energy to revive each other and give energy to each other, so that I say love and kindness can conquer all. So it might be a journey, but we keep on doing it. And we finding time like these events, an hour here, and making time for them, and then making sure that we pay it forward to another to invite them. We can do it little by little, stopping to recognize what's important.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I love the reference to the energy, right? That positive energy will attract more positive energy, and it will create that positive ripple effect. And I think the fact that, we created these tools really for our community here, but really for communities beyond and everywhere. This could be really used one-on-one, in small groups, or even in a town hall, in a company, in a church organization. Like, it's really meant to bring people together and make connections. So you guys are really awesome. Thank you so much for sharing such wonderful insight and reflection. And we really hope that we get to continue these dialogue with you in these 1 hour sessions. But in the meantime, I want to just make sure that I'm going to hand over to Bill, right? You're going to maybe help us wrap up and talk about our way forward. Bill, I'm going to pass it on to you, but keep the insights coming, keep your reflection coming in chat. Thank you.
Okay, well, we want to thank you all for helping us with this. This is the second time we've used this. And so we're interested in testing it out. As you know, ICU was developed by Lyndon Rego, and it was part of a leadership lab that grew out of last summer, called the Courageous Community Dialogue. As you know, here's a sketch of it. It involves convening, sharing, reflecting back what you've heard, and then connecting with each other. We see that there's more steps to this we haven't developed yet. Getting into more deeper conversations among people, and then eventually actually having good dialogue on some knotty topics or contentious issues. So that's one place that we hope to go as time goes on. Go ahead, Joel. The title of this comes from the Zulu greeting, Suabona, which translates literally, I see you. It also has the connotation of you are important to me, or my attention is with you. And so I see you. Go ahead, Joel. Shows that you have a deeper understanding of what other people are saying. That's the point of this. But it also makes you feel like others understand you more deeply. Notice this is much different than the simple social media thumbs up. Next, Joel. In these times where we have a lot of contentious issues, social tensions, and divisions, they're exacerbated. And I'm going to quote from David Brooks now. He has said that many of our society's great problems flow from people not feeling seen and known. Blacks feeling that their daily experience is not understood by whites. Rural people not feeling seen by coastal elites. Depressed young people not feeling understood by anyone. people across the political divides getting angry with one another and feeling incomprehension, employees feeling invisible at work. I think that I see you, this process helps people feel seen and heard. Go ahead, Joel. Connections that we make between people are destroyed by violence and by the breakdown of social order. But ending the violence is not enough. The opposite of war is not peace, it's peace building. We have to reconstruct the peace. I see you, we think, can help rebuild the peace because it makes people feel seen and heard. Yes, Joel. So I see you is a way of seeing each other, connecting with others through seeing them and through having dialogue, and hopefully eventually on contentious issues. So we are asking also for your help. Joel, you can move on. One, you can help test it. The tool is free on Cometa, cometa.co. I see you. It's the same link that you use now. And Lyndon is happy to help somebody with suggestions on how to use it. There's a variety of ways. I'm sure you all are thinking already of different ways you could use this, tied in with other things in different types of groups all over. We will also be welcoming anybody who wants to work on our Courageous Community Dialogue Leadership Lab. And to understand when we're meeting and to get the links, just email Lyndon Rego at gmail.com. And that email is also available through cometa.co. So there's lots of ways in which you could help us. You know, this whole session, this whole series, we began because of Mark Johnson. Go ahead, Joel, you can change it. So this was inspired by Mark Johnson. And it's appropriate that our first topic on this community conversation is about connecting with others. And Mark was one who connected personally with others. And many of us here on the Zoom meeting remember him and did feel connected with Mark. And Mark was also one that worked actively and intentionally for world peace around the world. So it's appropriate that we begin this series with Mark. To summarize it, Joel, you can change it now. Summarize, great change comes from small conversations between people who care. That's, I think, a summary of I See You. All to you, Joel. Joel?
I need to unmute myself. Thank you. So we're right at time. We're about a minute over. A number of us will stay here afterwards if people want to continue to connect. But yes, we do want to bring honor to Mark and honor how conscious leadership has always been a component of what the Leadership Forum has always been a part of. And what came out in our conversation in the little breakout group that I had was somebody was talking about nonviolent communication and how actually somebody had learned it in the Fellowship of Reconciliation, which was an organization that Mark led at the end of his career, and that's the oldest peacekeeping organization in the world. So it's interesting how things show up when we're celebrating, honoring, and also continuing, you know, some of the traditions of the past to be better people in the world. So thank you all for your time. All this work that we do at the Leadership Forum is really done by volunteers and individuals. So those that care to sponsor something or make a donation or even become a member, you can do so on our Leadership Forum site. But our goal really is, you know, how can we help individuals, organizations, and communities really live more conscious leadership lives and create agency. And we hope that some of what you've learned you'll take forward and share and use. And thank you for your feedback on how to make this better. Bill, Poe, and Lyndon, thanks so much for the work that you all have done in the lab. And it's a great example of how when people come together and want to study something, they can produce something that many can benefit from. So thank you all for your time. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll hope to see you again.